Hey, it's Vanessa from CraftyGemini.com. Today I'm on the back deck of my farmhouse and we're getting ready to start some seeds for the fall garden. I'm going to show you the process of how I like to do mine. I'm by no means an expert, okay? But we have had some really great harvests this past year since we've been living out here. So you're going to need something that's called seed starting mix, and what we've done here since we plant a lot is that we just purchased like a really large bag, and so I put the whole bag and I dump it in here. And you can see it's really fine, it's really airy and light, and so what this does is that it allows the seed to germinate, and it's not like heavy soil sitting on top of the seed after you plant it in there. It's going to allow it to just creep up and start growing nice and healthy. And so one thing to know is that you don't just want to grab soil from your backyard and start planting your seeds in it, because it might have weed seeds, and it's really, I think, better to purchase the germinating or the seed starting mix because it's sterile. You know, you're not going to have any weed seeds in there, nothing else will be competing with your plants. Now when you're trying to figure out what are the actual pots that you're going to be planting these seeds in, there's so many different varieties out there, and I'm just going to show you some. They sell things like this that you can actually cut this out and plant it just like that in the ground, because this will compost itself. Then we have, of course, the most obvious ones that you see at the little your home stores where they sell you plants in them. Go ahead and save these, because you can wash them out with a little bleach and water solution to make sure you're not passing on any diseases to the future plants, and just reuse them again and again. So there's different sizes, of course. Obviously the smaller ones, I just plant in small ones like this because they're going to go directly from here into my garden. If you're going to put them in a larger pot, you can start here and do that, and just as the plant outgrows the current pot that it's in, you can switch them to larger pots. So these are little ones that come in 6 to each one, okay, and they come individually. Or what I like to do for our large garden is just purchase one like this. It's a 72 cell tray, and if you're careful when they're ready to come out and you kind of just squeeze on it and help the plant out a little bit, these are definitely reusable over and over again. They're quite inexpensive, I think about $1.25 for one like this. Then what I have here, because they'll sell you this individually, what I have here is the tray that it holds on the bottom. So regardless of where you're going to be planting your seeds, one thing you want to make sure is that it has good drainage. So this right here, they have holes in it, so that if you overflow it with water by mistake, okay, that the excess water is going to drain out. And so in this case, it'll end up in here, and what some people do is that they'll actually water in here and let the plants and the roots of the plants soak up the water from down here as opposed to going over the top. So I'm going to fill this one up with my seed germinating mix. I'm just going to grab with a container here, start it at the top, let it kind of trickle down so it goes filling in the cells as it goes, and then just push them into the cells with my hands. And so this is another reason I use this big container, is because that way I reduce the amount of the germinating mix that I'm wasting, right? I can do it right above the container, and I can end up using just what I need. Then what I do is I just take 2 fingers and just tap it barely, just in a little bit, to make sure that I'm going to have enough mix in here and fill in any ones that look a little bit too low. You don't want to compact the soil, but you can see these have more than these ones here. We're ready to put some seeds in here. Now to prep my tray for my seeds, I have found that this little, it's just like a little shot glass. It's like the perfect size to fit right into there. And so I'll just go in and barely, I'm not pushing down on it. Remember, you don't want to compact the soil. That's the whole point of having a really light and airy germinating mix. I'm just going to tap it down just very, very lightly. And then after the seeds go in, I'll repeat this process very lightly, because we do want to make sure to have some really good soil to seed contact. Now I'll go in with something like this. You can use a pen or a pencil. This is just a chopstick, and I'm going to use the back part of it. And this is really just going to vary depending on the seed size that you have, okay? Make sure that you read the packets from your seeds, but generally I'll usually go in about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch. Okay, so let's talk about seeds. Here are my seeds. Don't judge me. It's actually quite of an obsession, but we like to grow a large variety of things just so we can start learning how to be as sustainable as we can, so we can grow as much food that we consume here in my house as we can. So I have all kinds of different seeds in here, and I actually purchased mine from a few different places. Seed Savers Exchange is one. I get some their organic seeds from there. And last year I purchased these. They were actually on sale. I think I got them for like $1 each packet. Some of the ones that were like already at the end of their season. But they say that if you store them in a cool and dry place, they can last really long. Like right here, for example, these bushy cucumbers, is the sell-by date on the back is December 31st, 2011. And so they basically had to get rid of these, right? So I didn't plant these in the spring, but I'm actually getting ready to plant them now for a fall crop. And you can see the bushy cucumbers are actually these ones right here. You see all these tall cucumbers? I only put one seed in each one of these cells and all 6 germinated. So even though this was from last year, they're still good to use because I store them in a big plastic baggie like this that's freezer safe, and I pop them in the freezer. So that's where I keep all my seeds. I've seen some research online that suggests, you know, depending on the variety and what type of seed it is, they can last 3 to 5 years, 5 to 10, and some seeds will last way, way longer. So it's just, it just depends. And for $1 a packet, I said, why not? You know, I bought about 10 or 15 different varieties. Another place I get my seeds from is Baker Creek Seeds. They sell all heirloom seeds, and they have their non-GMO and organic. And so I bought some herbs, and that's really mostly where I get my vegetables from. Here are 2 more seed packets that I recently got. This is my first time buying from Seeds of Change. They have USDA certified organic seeds. This is for Chinese cabbage, and this is for Thai basil. I'm going to try my hand at some Chinese cabbage. It's like a Napa cabbage, because one of my friends who won the YouTube Next Up contest with me, Munch, she has a Korean cooking channel, and I'll link to her channel right here. She has tons of awesome, awesome recipes. Everybody swears by her kimchi, and I've never tried it, so I said, well, let me try to grow my own Chinese cabbage so that I can try to make her kimchi. So Munch, if you're watching, I'm going to make your kimchi this year, and I'll send you some pictures. We'll open this up, and you always want to read the packet in the back. There's tons of information on the back of your seed packets telling you the planting depth. For this cabbage, it says 1/4 to 1/2 inch, which is perfect because that's about what I did. I'm just going to pour them out onto my hand. So here's what the little seeds look like. And so oftentimes when I started doing research on gardening, I saw that they said to sprinkle at least 2 or 3 seeds in each one. But you know what I've noticed over the past year since I've been planting? I really don't like to waste my seeds. And if I'm going to get 3 that germinate, then you're going to have to clip away 2 from here and cut them away. So you're really wasting those 2 plants that could otherwise grow up to be healthy. So what I find is that if you start off with good quality seeds, there's no reason why you shouldn't just put 1 seed in each little hole. If it doesn't germinate, it doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and plant 18 plants of this. This is quite a bit, but whatever. If I have more than enough, I'll give some to my friends. Say the rabbits eat a few, the chickens eat a few more. Maybe we'll be able to have a few for ourselves. And now I'll just go back with my little chopstick here and just cover up the dirt a little bit, or with my finger. And you want to tamp it down just a little bit. It's going to ensure that you have good seed to soil contact. And again, this is just the way I like to do my seeds. Everybody has their own way of doing it. 1,000,001 YouTube videos on the same topic. I just wanted to share it with you all. Then I would, you know, end up planting whatever else I'm going to plant here. And what a good thing to do is you can put some kind of label in here to label what it is that is in these seed things, because you definitely don't want to forget what you've planted, right? The way I label mine is really low key. I like to do 2 things to ensure that I know exactly what's planted in those cells. First is I just get some really cheap painter's tape that I have on hand already, and I cut it long enough to cover how many cells I use. So in this case there's 3, so you can see that this tape is going to reach all 3, and I'm just going to write on it the Bilko Chinese cabbage. I can take this off again once I've used this up and reuse it. Now I know that these 3 here are the Bilko Chinese cabbage, so we're good for that. Then I would just continue to do that all the way across. The second thing I do is I have a gardening notebook where I write, like in this seed tray I have this and that, and I number the seed trays the same way. So I'll just get another piece of tape, and this is actually going to be my 5th seed tray that I've planted for this season. So in my notebook under the number 5, I'll start off with what it is that I have planted in here. In case for some reason I lose the tape, I'll still be able to know what I have planted. Then I take just a little spray bottle, and what we do here is we collect some of our rainwater, and so I like to use the rainwater to water my seeds and my vegetables in the garden if I can. And I'm going to spray 4 or 5 sprays in each one of these. And I know this may seem like time consuming, and it actually is a little bit arduous on the hands, but I tend to be very heavy-handed with the water, and I'd rather not risk it. I've come up with this. This works for me. My seeds, they germinate quite nicely, so I just do it. Here you can tell that the top is moist because the soil here is a little bit darker. Whereas, let me move this out. Here are some seedlings that I planted earlier this week, and you can see that with my method, I haven't had a problem getting them to germinate. Now, if you look here, the soil on these ones here is a little bit more light brown, and that tells me I can feel it. It's getting a little dried out. So whenever you see them like this, especially if the seedlings haven't popped up yet, go ahead and spritz it with some water, because what they need is that constant moisture. They don't want to be soaked, but they don't want to be dry either. Once you've planted all your seeds and you've wet everything down nicely, then I like to put it in an oven that's been completely turned off. I'll stick it in there overnight and for at least 2 or 3 days until I start seeing the seedling breaking the top of the soil here. And what that does is just creates like a mini greenhouse and keeps the moisture and the warmth inside the oven. And then once you take them out of the oven and you see, check them every day or two. If they need more water, spritz them again. After a few days, usually depending on the seeds that you're growing, you'll see that the seedling is trying to come up out of the soil to come up and start growing. And at that point, that's when I like to take them outside if I can and the weather is nice, to give them some natural sunlight so they can start growing nice and strong. And so what I've created here was a little bootlegged greenhouse. It's just like a little hoop house. Our greenhouse that I showed you all previously in a video earlier or late last year, the winds here are really strong, so it kind of just blew it away. It just got completely mangled. So I just took the plastic off of it, and I've just draped it over some PVC pipe here. I just took 3/4 inch PVC. I hit it with a rubber mallet into the ground to create a hole about 12 to 15 inches deep, and then I just took some 1/2 inch PVC and just stuck it in the hole. So there's nothing holding this in. It's just placed inside the ground. You can see I can just slide it completely off. The same thing on all 4 sides. And then I just draped over the 1/2 inch PVC. I added some reinforcements here, and don't look, that is painter's tape. I didn't have electrical tape on hand, but we've actually had about 15-20 mile-an-hour winds and it hasn't fallen apart. So until I go to the store this week, I'll be able to come back in and reinforce this. But for now, it just gets the job done. So we just did it with what we had on hand, and then I'll just place them right here. So the south side is that way, and I don't really have any large trees blocking, so they get nice, good sunlight here. So when after the sun goes down, or when it's about to go down, I'll just take the seedlings inside overnight, and then first thing in the morning when the sun comes up again, I'll put them right back out here. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video on how I like to plant my seeds to get them started for the next planting season. Whether you're gardening already or maybe you're just going to get started after watching my video, go ahead and leave me a comment below letting me know what you plan on planting for this fall gardening season. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, go ahead and hit it with a thumbs up, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.